we rolled literally out of the tent on day 10, and I can't speak for the other two, but I was pretty hurting. Between the bottle of rum, the case of beer that Steve had brought, and all the drinks we had bought at the comedy show, it was not a fun morning for me.
The night before had gotten a little bit out of hand with Mike and Daryl and all his comedic friends. We'd had a pretty good time. We'd gone through our rum and got into Mary's bar after that. Mary had the licensed event there, the KGB, and it was a pretty good time.
So ultimately, after all the fun we had the night before, it was time to pay the piper, or at least a refund in the bushes. But thank God the good folks at the KGB had thought about that, and they had breakfast that day at the campsite. There was a local caterer that was there selling breakfast burritos and, most importantly, fresh coffee.
So we had our breakfast burritos and a cup of coffee, and then we went back up to camp and packed up for our day of riding with Steve. Steve was going to ride with us for a while before heading back to Nelson.
So after we'd shaken the cobwebs out with a bit of fresh coffee and some breakfast burritos, we did pack up camp and waved a very reluctant goodbye to Toad Rock. All three of us knew that that was not going to be the last time we'd be at Toad Rock. Now, one of the best hangover cures in the world is that road along Kootenay Lake. We pushed north out of Toad Rock on this twisty ribbon of slab that just skirts the edge of the lake, and boy, it wasn't too long before life was back to being pretty damn good. We got to Kaslo and essentially had a choice. We could either head west on the 24 or keep heading north on a gravel road, a really remote service road past Trout Lake. Well, it was 3 votes to none for the gravel, so towards Trout Lake we went.
Basically, then we hit a little town, and instead of following the slab and turn north onto the gravel, which is the Trout Lake Road proper. And it's basically a forestry service road, and so it was gravel and kept in pretty good shape, and really good for adventure touring type motorcycle. So while we were riding north on the Trout Lake Road, nursing our hangovers, we stopped a couple times to shoot the shit and take some pictures and stuff like that. And basically, we just kept rolling. We were having a good time.
One of the other really good things about this road is that it was really remote. I bet you the whole time we saw 3 other vehicles, and those vehicles were all bikes. So sure enough, I think the first time we pulled over to take pictures and have a drink of water, 2 bikes rolled up. One was an old GS, the other one was a Goldwing, I think. And they were just out cruising the area, having an early morning ride.
Trout Lake Road, proven to be pretty fun.
So we chatted with them for a while and took some more pictures before we kept pushing on. In addition to the great scenery on this road, there was also tons of wildlife. I lost count of how many deer we saw. But there was this one deer in particular that didn't seem to want to run away from the bikes, at least not left or right, but seemed like he wanted to drag race Hammy a bit.
I think the highlight of the trip for me was the one part we were riding. We were just about to head up towards Trout Lake, and Chris and Jeff had fallen behind for some reason. I can't remember why. And I was up ahead. I had a camera mounted on my side bag, and I stopped and was waiting for them. And I looked back, and there was a white-tailed deer jumping down the road in front of them, and they were riding right behind it. From my angle, it looked like they were riding 3 abreast with the deer, and it was just a really nice scene. And he probably rode with them or he probably ran with them for maybe a half a kilometer before he finally saw an opening and darted off into the forest. Definitely the highlight for me.
The scenery kept getting better and better. The road was full of twists and turns and nice hills. It was a really great morning.
So we finally made our way to the end of the Trout Lake Road, and basically the Trout Lake Road spits you back out onto the slab, and it's a short run from the slab up to the ferry. So we saw some great scenery and just cruised along and took our time. I was probably the slowest one that day on the gravel. For some reason, it was a little bit scrabbly for my bike, being that I didn't have very aggressive dirt tires, whereas the other guys did. So yeah, that's my excuse.
We got to the Galena Bay ferry port, and once again were greeted with a forest fire. Fortunately, this one was on the other side of the lake and in a direction that we weren't heading, so it really wasn't going to have too much of an effect on our trip.